Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes. We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror, the podcast that reviews horror movies both old and new. I'm Ben and I'm joined here with Matt, and today we're going to be talking about Imaginary from 2024. So we're going to have a brief spoiler-free chat about this movie, and then I'll hit a spoiler warning and we'll go through it in a bit more detail, go through the plot from start to finish, and then we'll give our own personal ratings from 1 to 10. So yeah, Imaginary 2024. This I was meant to watch this when it came out, and it slipped off my radar for a little bit, and then it popped up on, I think, what was it on, like Now TV or something?
I know it's on Amazon. I think without spoiling what I think about it, I'm glad it was free on Amazon.
Yeah, this is written, produced, and directed by Jeff Wadlow.
Yeah. So I didn't like, the name didn't make me think of anything, but I have seen a couple of his movies. I don't know about you. I've
only heard of two of his.
So I've seen Non-Stop.
No.
With Liam Neeson, essentially like Die Hard on a plane.
Right.
I've seen Fantasy Island that he produced. I don't know if he directed that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I thought Fantasy Island was okay. I have seen, what else of his? Oh, Kick-Ass 2. He was involved in that.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Kick-Ass 2.
No.
So, yeah, I know he did Bloodshot, which I haven't seen, the Vin Diesel thing. So, yeah, there was nothing that was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Another Jeff Wadlow. No, that wasn't how I saw it.
No, because he's done mostly like action type films. Is that right? Like actiony.
Oh, like a mix, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a mix, yeah, but I guess more action than other stuff.
I think it's more recently he's been delving into the horror movies, like with that Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare.
Yeah, because Fantasy Island, the series, is more just kind of weird and scary, but I think they made the film a bit more horror.
Yeah.
Leaning. I didn't think it was terrible. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
No.
I mean, he had a little bit of involvement in the Psycho spin-off TV show Bates Motel, so he had a bit of horror there.
Okay.
But that's it.
So this is produced by Blumhouse, isn't it?
Oh, right. Yeah, I can see that. It feels like that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, whether it's just a lot of theirs are set in present day.
Yeah.
So in a way, they kind of, in a strange sort of way, they date quicker because you're like, it feels like they're already a little bit out of date. If I don't know, it's just kind of weird. All Blumhouse films to me feel like they were made in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I mean, I've never really had a problem with like Blumhouse films.
Oh, some of them are good.
Yeah, they newer decent original horrors are pretty hard to come by, but if I see like it's a Blumhouse film, I'm pretty confident it's going to be okay. At the very least it's going to be okay. I'm not a fan of all of them, but there are some good ones like Insidious and Paranormal Activity. I think The Visit might have been Blumhouse as well. Unfriended, which we did a few films back. So yeah, there are some good, really good like Blumhouse films, but yeah.
I would go as far as say like Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You were good. Invisible Man, I like. The Black Phone. Like there was a good period, and then there was like a period where they just kind of released like maybe 10 films or something ridiculous all at once onto Amazon. And some of them were really good, some of them weren't. And I don't know whether they've just kind of watered down a little bit. It was a strange one that when they did that, like it was just, maybe it's during the pandemic and it was all ones that should have been on at the cinema or something. I'm not sure what the idea of that was, but for me, it just kind of watered it down a bit, because there was a good period, like you saying, of all those ones that all seem to be at the cinema, all seem to be doing pretty well. I think they made a lot of money from Paranormal Activity and Insidious and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And all the different spin-offs. The Purge was theirs, wasn't it? So, like, they had a good run.
Well, yeah,
it
seems...
I can't remember what it was. There was one... Oh, man, what was it called? There was one where there was a couple of... It was like Diane Lane's an old lady in an old people's home, and weird stuff's going on, but nobody believes her because she's old. And then there was the Sydney Sweeney one before she was famous, which was really good, which was kind of like a take on Rear Window, with her and her boyfriend kind of watching stuff going on across the way in a flat, and then she kind of got involved with the guy who they're watching, and that was okay. There was like, maybe I would say like 3 or 4 of those that were all in a row.
Yeah.
And then it kind of tailed off for me. And like now, I don't think they automatically go to the cinema, do they? Like,
no. Would you think they did too much too quick? Because Blumhouse isn't an old production company, is it? Like, it's within the last 15 years, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's possibly like the especially because they have something to do with Halloween as well. I think maybe they just were like the thing of the moment, and they had a lot of projects thrown at them, and then like maybe the quality was hard to keep up. But I think the idea behind Blumhouse was like good quality, lower budget, not like low budget, but like mid budget, and they could make a massive profit.
Yeah.
And if they don't make a massive profit, then I guess people are not as interested in their, like in the industry, kind of putting them on the cinemas and big names being attached to them. So maybe they're on a bit of a downward, because they're not going to do another Paranormal Activity, are they? Like this film, Imaginary, I imagine probably didn't even make 5% of what Paranormal Activity made.
No. That was going to be the other thing I was going to say. Like films like Paranormal Activity, Insidious, The Purge, they're all films that they've really kind of, I would say, have milked the franchise, because after 2 or 3, they all just kind of blend together. Like
it's like 50-50 maybe now, isn't it? It's like Megan has done well and they're making a sequel, but then at the same year as that, they made Five Nights at Freddy's, and that was a flop. So it's like maybe it's literally 50-50. I really like The Invisible Man that they did. So
yeah, I really like that as well. Yeah.
Maybe they just need to stick to James Wan and let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Talk about The Invisible Man, because obviously that's a Universal monster. I think I might have actually said this on the podcast before, but they're going to be making a remake of that as well, and I think that's going to be Blumhouse as well. Creature of the Black Lagoon. Sorry, I can't remember if I just said that. But
no, you didn't. But
Creature of the Black Lagoon. They're going to be making a remake, which I'm so excited for, because that is my favourite of the Universal monsters.
Mine too. Yeah.
And you notice every other Universal monster, there's like, how many Dracula films are there? How many Frankenstein films are there?
Ridiculous, yeah.
And now they remade Invisible Man. So yeah, I'm dead excited to see. I'm pretty sure it's Blumhouse, but regardless, I'm dead excited to see what they do.
It is, yeah. And obviously they made a good start with Lee. I think it's Lee Winnell, so I think it's like again a link to like that whole not Insidious, the whole James Wan group of friends. Yeah. So like I think Wolfman is going to be Lee Winnell.
Wolfman, that's the other one. Yeah.
So if it's going to be as good as The Invisible Man, then I'm up for that. The Dracula one, like, like, because obviously some of Dracula stuff is in public domain, lots of different companies can make that. I don't know, maybe the Creature from the Black Lagoon being maybe tighter attached to the copyright and the things like that, like the source material and what have you, be harder. So it actually, in a way, it'll make it more original because there hasn't been anything else really since then.
Yeah. Because what year? I'm gonna say early 40s. Is it? Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Maybe, yeah, or definitely late 40s, early 50s. Yeah, need to double check, but yeah.
I thought I had it to hand. No,
the design for it is timeless, though, as well. You could have the monster look the same because it looks so good. Yeah, 1954.
54, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks so good as well. It hasn't aged like terribly. You wouldn't need to change the overall design.
Yeah.
But they probably do make it absolutely massive, like the size of a fucking tower block or something. But
well, it's quite a simple premise as well. When you think about it, it's not a lot that really needs to go into it. It's a straight up monster movie.
Yeah, and like I guess with this being Universal going with Blumhouse, it's low risk and it's high reward. Unlike when they did the Dark Universe that kind of with Tom Cruise and The Mummy and all that, and it just was a lot of money and a big failure. Like Blumhouse is small budget, high reliance on creativity, can just go, right, Lee Winnell, go and do whatever you want to do. And if it doesn't work, they'll be like, well, it's not officially Universal Monsters universe, it's just this person's take on it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll see how it goes because there'll be Frankenstein, I'm sure, as well. The Mummy.
Yep.
So it should be fun.
Yeah.
But this one, in terms of like what Blumhouse have done with this is the kind of thing I think of now with Blumhouse, where it's like a solid film, decent budget, but no one's really like, it's not going to be on at the cinema and no one's really going to be like, not a lot of people are going to be talking about it. Whereas like we said before, some of those other ones, people were really excited about Paranormal Activity and Insidious and all of those. Yeah.
Have you seen that thing online about this movie being connected to that animated kids film called If? Have you seen that?
No.
Do me a favor right now. Google the movie If. It came out at the same time as this film, and people are putting connections. Like I don't think it's Disney, but
it's a DreamWorks one.
DreamWorks. Yeah. There's
John Krasinski film.
That's right. Yeah.
I never really thought anything about it because I'm really gone off watching Ryan Reynolds things. Well, it's like John Krasinski, Ryan Reynolds, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Steve Carell, blah blah blah. Yeah, high concept. A young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everyone's imaginary friends. Oh, okay, so that's how it ties in.
Both about imaginary friends. They both came out roughly at the same time, and I just so happened watched that film If with my son. And then I put him to bed, and I was like, "Oh right, I've got to do the next film for the podcast." So I put this one on, and I was like, "Hold on a minute." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "How weird would it be? Like, if you see the film, you might come up with some ideas where you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, potentially there could be some hidden crossovers lurking in the backgrounds there." But yeah,
it's interesting. The imaginary friends thing. That, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the James Stewart film Harvey.
No.
About he has an imaginary friend who's a 6 foot tall rabbit. It's like and that's my James Stewart impression.
Okay.
But no, Mr. Potter. No. But yeah, it's that's a really good one. It made me wish I was watching that when I was watching this. But also there's another imaginary friend film, or sort of imaginary friend film, called Brigsby Bear, which is quite dark. Which is Kyle Mooney, and Kyle Mooney, who is like a comedian, but he does some quirky, weird stuff. That's like the sort of friend or the TV character that he loved as a kid becomes alive. And and that's really weird and strange. Like, I think without, this is spoiler free, it's fine. I think what's lacking from this film, seeing as it's called Imaginary, is imagination.
Yeah.
Like the set design and the final act isn't that interesting.
Yeah.
The acting's not terrible. Like, I don't know anything about DeWanda Wise, but I thought she was all right. But like, and any of the others, the husband, I've seen him in The Walking Dead, but like he wasn't in it very much. He was
Jesus.
He's Jesus in The Walking Dead. Yeah.
I think
he's like stereotypical musician guy.
Yeah, I think me and you are going to have some very similar views on this film. It'll be interesting when we come to our ratings to see what we do it, because I think we're on the same page.
It's weird, isn't it? Because literally it is called Imaginary.
Yeah.
You think that the poster makes you think that this bear is going to be bouncing all over the fucking shop.
Yeah.
The little girl's good as well. She's not irritating. She's not an irritating kid. She's like pretty good.
Yeah.
Like often in these, the little kids are like, oh geez, but she's not that bad.
Yeah. No,
I just don't know what the deal. I don't know what the deal is with it. Is why this doesn't hit. And I think maybe it's just you could go in so many different directions with Imaginary Friends.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of the stuff we find out, we're not really finding it out. We just know it straight away. It's like, oh my word, what a great twist. And it's like, no, there is no twist. The film thinks it's doing a twist. But as a viewer, we're like, that's a twist?
Yeah.
I just assumed that everybody knew this.
Yeah.
So 100%. There's a bit of that's how possibly it doesn't quite work. There's a good idea here, or a nice simple idea that could really work. The guy, the other thing, my other thing I wanted to get your take on, the neighbor called Liam. What's his fucking deal? Like, what's going on with that guy? He's like, he doesn't know what he is. If he's like a sleazy bad guy, awkward, nice next door neighbor, too old for her, too like really experienced, really inexperienced. He's what is he? Like, I don't know what he is.
No, I know. I don't even know. He's just a throwaway character. Like, he is nothing really. He doesn't necessarily bring anything to this film. Yeah, I'm sure we'll.
Yeah, did you find it scary as well? Like, was anything?
Me?
Yeah.
No. Not really.
I think there's one bit where I jumped, but I was watching it while I was cooking at the same time, so maybe I was like distracted and then I turned back. There was like one jump scare near the beginning, I think.
Okay.
I can't even remember what it was now.
I mean, there was one freaky bit that I think was supposed to be scary, because that's one thing about Blumhouse. Blumhouse are really good at their like jump scares, but it fell a little bit flat to me. Like I saw it come in. And normally, even with Blumhouse, you could see it come in and you still jump. But it just didn't. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean about this movie. It's a good movie, but there's a lot of stuff that just falls flat. And
it's not a bad movie. It's not one you would watch and be like, oh, you've got to watch this terrible movie. It's hilariously bad.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not like also a film where you would say to somebody, you've got to watch this film. This happens. Because nothing happens really.
Yeah, you can basically just watch the trailer and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. And you don't really need to see the film, because I do tend to steer away from trailers as well, because trailers, they seem to be getting longer and longer and they're just giving away the whole plot of the film. But I did watch the trailer for this before I watched it. It was like 5 minutes long. Literally, it was just like a shortened version of the film.
Well, I heard that the teaser trailer would have been probably better because it was a blank screen and you only heard noises and you were supposed to imagine what was happening.
Oh, well, that's not what I saw.
So yeah, you probably didn't watch the teaser trailer. You probably watched the full-on trailer. Yeah, but that would have been better.
Yeah.
I mean, also it would have been a massive letdown when you saw the things and you were like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, the bit where the girl... Oh, well, this isn't spoilers, I suppose. But the little girl has a part to play and she has to get, like, a shopping list of things. That could have been really, really well done, but it was actually quite rushed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
There's some good bits, like, good ideas, but, like, they rush them and then they do 15 minutes of talking.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like... I could see what they're going for. He's thinking of like Poltergeist and Alice in Wonderland and
Alice in Wonderland. That was a definite vibe that I got whilst I was watching it.
Yeah,
especially at the end.
Yes, and there's stuff with the dad fell a bit flat as well because we didn't really know what the deal is. We don't really know that much about the family dynamics other than the older daughter doesn't like her, or just because she's a teenager, I guess. And the little one doesn't mind it just because she's a little kid, I guess. And the husband's like, oh, stick with it, everything will be fine. Don't worry, they'll love you as much as I love you. I felt like I've seen that in films so many times. So it wasn't very imaginative.
Right. Before we spoil anything, I'll hit that warning and we'll go through this plot and we can be brutally honest. All right.
Spoiler warning.
Yes, let's be brutally honest because we've been so nice. So...
All right, so this movie starts out with our main girl, Jessica. She keeps having these intense bad dreams, and she's a children's book author who moves back into her childhood home with her husband and his two daughters, Taylor and Alice. And then Alice goes down into the basement, and that's where she finds this dirty old teddy bear named Chauncey.
Chauncey.
Well, weird name. They've always got like old names that you don't really hear anymore, like Chauncey.
My teddy bear. What was your teddy bear called when you were a kid? I'll tell you mine.
I don't think I had a teddy bear when I was a kid.
Oh, you're a badass. I had Freddie. And I had Edward, but I couldn't say my D's, so he was Edward. I had Freddie, Edward. Maybe I had a George. I'm not sure. Maybe I had George.
See, they've all got old names. Freddie, Edward, George.
And Chauncey, of course. I had Chauncey.
It's never like Phoenix or Shaniqua or...
Shaniqua would be great. Well, I mean, they need to put the teddy bear in the washing machine for number one, and that might have washed all the bad spirits out of it too, because you wouldn't just let a kid play with a dirty old freaking germ-ridden teddy bear. Yeah,
it's been in the basement for like 30 years.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And there's nothing too scary happens at the beginning because we realise straight away this is like a PG-13.
Oh, is it really? I didn't even look at the rating.
Yeah.
PG-13. I guess that makes sense. I maybe would have argued a 12A.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, strange, terrifying events begin to unfold, and Alice gathers things on a secret shopping list that Chauncey made for her. And one of the things on the list was for her to hurt herself. And and that's when round about this time we see that typical brainless teenage boy from next door. He comes over and I think he gets eaten, doesn't he, by Chauncey?
Oh, yeah. He does. He goes for a piss and gets eaten or something. I can't. Yeah. I mean, the bit with, like we say, the part where she's getting the things together for Chauncey. It could have spread that out over time, made that really suspenseful.
Yeah, because it didn't
Meanwhile,
really...
we have this kid coming over, and it's like, we don't need him.
It didn't really specify, like, hurting herself was one of, like, the main things that you see on the list. You don't really see much else. I can't remember what else was on the list.
Yeah, it's like a bit of hair or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a different take on it, like the different, like him giving her a list of things to do.
Yeah.
Could have really made that quite creepy. I guess it would have tied in and built that relationship a little bit more, that the stepmom really cares for her and saves her, you know, like which she does, but like it happens at such a weird point. We don't really know why or anything. We don't really know anything really about the main character and her dad. Even when it's kind of explained, it isn't really explained well enough for us to understand. But it's also explained quite late in the game. At this point, we've already decided we don't care.
Yeah.
So there's like the emotional stakes are not high when the exciting stuff happens, because we don't really know enough about them to care. But I think like you say, I think when he comes in, what's he called, Liam, and he's wandering around, like this could have been used to build that little girl getting the stuff together, the sister kind of maybe playing along and being part of the game, and like thinking it's all fun and babysitting her and, you know, kind of bonding with her, but actually being the reason why the sister's going to get hurt. And then she feels terrible about that. She blames herself. The mother, the stepmother and her are like battling because they're blaming each other. And then you get the tension and it all comes out. But instead, we don't really get that. In fact, the big sister doesn't really have much to do with the little sister that much.
No, and that's why I'm a little bit disappointed with this being a Blumhouse, because Blumhouse, like, they're so good at creating thick tension. Like, even if there's like nothing going on, like the score and everything behind the film, like they really build it up. You get that heavy bassy feeling, but I don't know, like there were some stuff that I saw coming, like when was his name, Liam, like he gets eaten by the teddy, Chauncey, saw that coming, and I thought that would have been like a really big jump scare, because you see it, this little teddy bear, and it like rushes forward and then it becomes this big angry monster bear. That could have been good, but I just kind of like watched it and I was like, cool.
Let's like go full practical effects, big hairy teddy bear chomping its head off in one bite. And like chomping, and you just see his body with no head on it. Or even if it's quite cartoony and silly, like you could probably get away with that. Like, who are we going for here? We're trying to like make a film for 13-year-olds who maybe only 2 or 3 years ago had imaginary friends. Like, is that what we're going for? Or are we going for like a more of a broader appeal of, I mean, 13, if it's really scary and horrible, 13-year-olds will find it anyway. Might as well make it full on Nightmare on Elm Street or something, because I mean, I guess I think Insidious, you're right though, Insidious was scary, and that wasn't, I think in America that was a PG-13, so that worked. Megan, which I had to stop because of dog trauma, that you know, it kind of worked, appealed to younger audiences, but actually had some scares in it. And some like uncomfortable moments, because you can make things uncomfortable without showing it, can't you?
Yeah. And that's what I mean, because I think around about this time as well, when what's the little girl's name? Alice. She's out doing her little shopping list, and that's when she was gonna hurt herself, like stab herself on a nail or something. And that whole time, you get Jessica upstairs, and she thinks she's talking to her in bed, because you see the outline of her in her bed, and she's in there, and you're talking. And that's cool. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, I bet that's not her in the bed. And it weren't her. And that was just it. Like
that was it. Well, if that was Insidious,
it's like, oh,
the
right.
build-up to that would be ages, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You probably like that series more than I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like that they definitely build tension well. If you give them like one big pat on the back, it'd be for the way they build tension.
Yeah.
So all of that with the little girl is your key to this whole film, isn't it? Like the danger she's putting herself and her family in. So we need to be right inside that world, either going back and forth between the different family members trying to help or making it worse, or going along with it because they think it's just fun or part of her, part of her journey of kind of getting used to this thing. Because there's this little subplot about her mum losing her mind and being dangerous, and that's why they've had to move, which again we don't really know a lot about. She just pops up as like a boogeyman at the end, and you're like, what are you doing here? Like, this is about Chauncey.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's round about here as well that we meet that weird old lady neighbour, like next door neighbour. Like, she pops up, and I mean, she gives off creepy vibes, and then you begin to like, be like, okay, she's not too bad, and then again, like, she turns out to be a bit of a fucking psycho. But she's weird as well, isn't she? Because she gives so much information. Yes.
That no one asks for.
Yeah. And she seems to be obsessed, and she's made it her lifelong dream to get back in that house.
If you just met her, you'd be like, well, all right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, first impressions of her, you see her staring through the window. You'd be like, okay, well, that's weird. But she says that Chauncey was Jessica's childhood imaginary friend, and now he's seeking revenge for being abandoned. So, okay, all right, I can get on board with that. But I did see it coming, though. I did see it.
Yeah, I mean, would you think it would have been better if they'd have just had that old lady as, like, the kind of Lin Shaye character who helps and has all the info, that they go to her for help rather than her coming over and being like, so here's everything about your childhood and why I know everything about, not why I know everything about you, just here's every bit of information about your childhood that you didn't ask for.
I would have appreciated that more, I think.
Yeah,
instead of trying to make something creepy out of nothing. Like, I think it was unnecessary.
Maybe she just pops up, you see her a little bit, she's hovering around, you're not sure if she's good or bad, and then you realise that she's there trying to help. But you develop that over the course of the film rather than like a big info dump, and then she disappears for ages, and then pops up during the climax.
Yeah, either make her creepy or make her helpful. One or the other. She don't need to be both.
Yeah. we need to know we need to know eventually which one it is and why. And like, if we go, maybe if she didn't tell her she was her babysitter so early on, and we didn't really know, but like by the end, she's like, "Listen, I know I was there." And you're like, oh, "You were there, really?" Yeah, and also I knew about Chauncey. What, you knew? Yeah, and I was trying to protect you, but your dad, you know, like that would be an interesting reveal. But it's like we already know all that because she says it in the minute you meet her.
Yep. The one thing that did impress me though was the fact where you learn that it's not a bear. Like, no one can actually see the bear other than her. That I like that, because then it gets you thinking about the rest of the film. It's like, oh, hold on a minute, and then it makes sense. Like, she's the only one that can see it, because was a little girl, like she sees some like psychiatrist and she films it, and you watch the film back and you notice there's no one actually there. That would be good. That was cool.
Yeah, I think it would be good as well if maybe we got the impression more that DeWanda Wise's character, I can't remember her name now, the main character, she's called Jessica, was like she knew all about it, Chauncey, all along. Because I don't think we think that, do we? We don't and she remembers it vividly, but she's keeping it to herself because she doesn't want to freak everyone out. And then, like, when the psychiatrist lady or whatever she is, just random person pops up, then like she's like, I I just assumed it was just me and the little girl who could see it. I don't know, just something. I feel like it's a little bit confused. There's just something that doesn't quite work for me with that whole thing. Like, is she? Would it be better if she just Chauncey was there in her life and in her memory all the way along, and she's just trying to work out in her head, like, how has this kid got exactly the same imaginary friend as me? Or maybe she just thinks the teddy bear is called Chauncey. I don't know. I'm confused now. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I've had enough. I've had enough of this film. I can't take it anymore.
All right, let's get to this ending. So Chauncey influence, his influence over Alice grows, and Jessica uncovers the dark secrets about her past and a sinister realm known as Never Ever, where the imaginary friends lurk. It's very much Insidious right now.
It is
the Never Ever.
Yeah,
Not the further.
Look at what they did in the Upside Down in Stranger Things. Like, how cool that was, or all the different places that they got taken to across all the different series. Each time, I'm sure there's more money spent on it, but like, it was quite creative. I don't know if they were quite sure what they wanted to do with this Never Ever.
Yeah. I agree. They kind of rush it at the end.
Yeah,
I was getting a bit lost.
The bit where Dad's pulling in the wall and the walls take kid and all that. Like, I feel like that was supposed to be like a huge moment, but because we didn't really understand what the backstory was that much, and we hadn't really understood the relationship between the dad and daughter that much, other than him kind of waking up suddenly in bed and shouting at her once. Like, I was like, yeah, okay. Like,
yeah,
like, that looks bad for him. What a shame.
So, with the help of that weird old lady next door, they all go into the what's it called? The Never Ever. Yeah, and you get a couple of fake outs at the end where you think it's all over, but really they're still inside. They're Never Ever.
Yeah, there's one of them's very good, I think. And then there's like two other fake outs, and then there's like a comedy fake out as well at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like there's like choose one.
I know.
We want to make it a funny twist, a really scary one, or just kind of somewhere in the middle. No, we're going to do all three.
Yep. We are. All right, go on in. Hit me. What are you giving this from 1 to 10?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking 4, but then I was like, well, it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look. The acting's not awful. It's the set design, the direction, the story is all over the place, and maybe I'm being generous, but I don't think it's the worst film I've seen. And I know I've been slagging it off for conservatively 40 minutes, but yeah, I'm gonna give it 5. I feel I'd be mean to give it a 4.
Okay.
Oh, screw it, 4.5. 4.5.
4.5. Okay. You've actually gone lower than what I was gonna do.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm giving this a 6, like a very high 6.
Okay.
Because as a whole, the movie is good. It's all right. It's middle of the road. It is. It's a good. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. So middle of the road. It would have been. I was expecting it to be better than it was. With it being a Blumhouse produced movie, I was wanting all that thick atmosphere, tension, and jump scares, and it could have done it. And it felt like they didn't even try and do it, and that's why I was a little bit let down. Like, if they could have made maybe if they put the rating up on this a little bit, if they had made it a 15 and genuinely gone to town on the skitters, then it would have ended up being a lot better than it was. So yeah, the shock factors and stuff kind of let me down. No jump scares. So that's why it's bringing me down to just above middle of the road.
I'm going to change mine to 5. I've changed my mind. You've convinced me. You've convinced me because I felt like I was being mean. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which would be 5.
Okay, all right, 5.
So I'm changing it back to a 5.
Okay, it's yeah, all right. It's not too late. I'll let you do that.
My dog's not happy about it. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, my question is, would this be better if it was practical effects, big hairy Chauncey biting the crap out of everybody?
You know, I do like my practical effects. But Blumhouse don't really tend to use much practical.
No, say keep the cost down.
No, I'll say that actually they do. Wait, well, Saw Blumhouse?
Don't think so. No, I don't think it is.
All right, I'll take it back then. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen. But obviously, you now saying this was a PG, it makes sense to me, like why they didn't. So I would have liked to have been a higher rating. Then we could have actually maybe seen some blood. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen a lot more action. So yeah, practical effects could have been good, especially with that dickhead neighbor boy next door. Like,
yeah, maybe like more kid, like kind of creepy, plinky plonky music, like references to like Chauncey's almost like an Alice in Wonderland kind of feel to it, you know, a kind of childlike weird creatures, and I don't know, just something like a Jim Henson kind of feel to it or something, you know, just something to bring it out and make it seem weird and strange and creative. We talk so much about low budget films we've watched on the podcast, like Basket Case and things like that, where like just like it's such a simple concept, but the person's got no money, but they make it so creative, and it's almost unforgivable in a way that when people have the same opportunity and don't execute it as well, you're like, oh, that's disappointing. Like the Robot Santa one we watched was the same. It was like great idea, poor execution.
Yeah, 100%. I just realised there was a question I was meant to ask you as well that I never got to. Because throughout this movie, and I know it comes up quite a lot in movies, typically American movies, they make it seem like it's really common that most kids have imaginary friends. But, I mean, personally, I didn't, and I don't really know anyone that had an imaginary friend as a kid. Like, none of my friends did. Did you ever have an imaginary friend? Do you know anyone that had an imaginary friend? Or is that like an American thing?
I don't know. I don't know, because, like, right, if it's a teddy bear, then you're just playing with a toy.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is not an imaginary friend. An imaginary friend would be like, I'm talking to air, like I'm talking to invisible, you know, and I guess in this, that is what she's doing, and we're just made to think it's a teddy bear. So I definitely, because I was an only child, so I like talked to all my toys and things, but I also had a dog. So like my dog was like, I chatted to him all the time. So,
but if you genuinely like believe that your teddy bear is talking back to you and you're having a full-on conversation, is that the same as an imaginary friend? Does it have to be invisible?
I don't know. Like, I guess I wonder if I have to ask my parents, but I'm pretty sure I probably did have full-on conversations back and forth with my with my teddy bears when I was a kid. Like, I was a pretty messed up kid. So I don't know. You don't want to see the film. You don't want to see the film about me. Definitely not PG-13. But it's a 15 in the UK. This as well, which is interesting. But
oh right. Oh okay.
Yeah. So I guess there's slight drug references. I don't know, man. But yeah, the budget was $13 million. It's quite a lot of money.
Yeah. And what did they make in the box office? 44? Almost 44.
so they've actually not done too bad. Comparatively, they didn't make a loss anyway.
Ratings are a bit all over the place. I mean, IMDb have given it almost a 5 out of 10. They've given it 4.7, but Rotten Tomatoes is like less than a quarter. It's like 24%. So yeah. But you're right though. I think there's like so much to be mined about what we're like as kids, and if we actually had imaginary friends, what would that be like? How that drives us to do things. If it was driving her to do loads of stuff, because that little list, I don't know if you saw, did you actually read the list? Because it's all in her handwriting and her spelling. No.
So it's like pretty bad. So like something to paint, something, then she misses the G off, that burns, something you eat from, something that makes you happy with 2 E's, some P's of you, like P-E-Z, something that makes you mad. Like, just keep going with that. He keeps giving her lists and things to do. Driving that kid insane, pressuring her, makes it a really horrible feeling for somebody watching. And the family are getting more and more concerned that she's doing this. She's driven to do these things. And they're like, no, it's not real. It's just imaginary. That's the title of the film. And that would be really cool. And it would also be like, people would be like, wow, this kid's an amazing actor. Like, she'd have loads to do. She had it in her, I think. I think she could have done that, this girl.
Yeah, she was really good, actually.
She could have done it. She could have been, like, the main centre of the film could have been all been about her, like, going insane.
Yeah.
And the mum blaming the other daughter and the daughter blaming her and helping her and making it worse and making it better, and the dad not being there and him being just, like, fucking off playing music somewhere.
Being Jesus. Right. Okay, so that's it. I haven't really got any news or a game. I'll save that for next week. But I have got... Well, I guess this is some news. So, after our last episode was released, like, we had some really good feedback on our last episode because we made the jump into switching to a video format podcast. And that included a fellow horror content creator called Primetime Mitch. He left us a nice comment and then he got in touch with us, and he will be joining us next week for our next episode. And I can tell you our next episode is a classic. 1985 Fright Night. So yeah, he's going to be joining us for Fright Night next week. I'm excited to have him on the show, get to know him, and
me too, man.
Yeah, I think it will make for a good conversation.
Be interesting because it's a film that I've actually seen as well, and often the sort of modern ones we watch, I haven't. I definitely hadn't. We did Ghost Ship. I definitely hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen the Santa one. I hadn't seen Imaginary. So yeah, Fright Night. Yeah, be cool to chat about that.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of like newer type horrors lately, so it's good to jump back into the 80s, mid 80s, 1985. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Back in the day.
Cool. Right.
How old were you then when that came out?
How old was I in 85?
Yeah.
Well, considering I was born in 92.
So minus. Oh man, I was 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've really got for today's episode. Unless you got anything else you want to add, I'll see us out.
There's only one little thing, and please don't go and watch this. It's a bit of a funny story, really. So ages and ages ago, before the pandemic, I was I helped kickstart a film, like just put some money into Kickstart, and they wanted me to like remotely record something for it. Anyway, the film has come out, and they've cut off the first bit of my sentence, so it doesn't make sense what I'm saying. But if you want to watch Camp Blood 9 and go to near the end, I'm in there. I won't tell you my opinions on the film, but it was just a bit strange because what I say does not make any sense, and they put it in 2 chunks as well, because it's just literally like I'm like, yep, and then it's like I'm in the middle of a word.
Oh my God.
I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Maybe it's because I'm British. They didn't understand what I was saying.
What's he saying?
And also, I didn't really know what I was saying because I didn't know the script. I just had my lines. So some of the things I say sound quite mean, and I'm like, I wouldn't have said that if I'd have known.
Oh wow! What's that? What's that called? Camp Blood.
Camp Blood 9.
9. Yeah. Okay, let me write that down.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Camp Blood 9. Okay.
Camp Blood 9, Bride of Blood. Also, Eddie Munster's in it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Butch Patrick, the original Eddie Munster. So,
okay, nice.
Hanging out with one of my actor friends.
Cool, right. Shall I see us out?
Yeah, man.
All right. If you've liked today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We love hearing from you, so why not drop a comment and maybe give your own rating from 1 to 10, what you thought about this film. So that's a wrap for today. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in Fright Night. Bye.
We all go a little mad sometimes.